So this is lesson 86, algebra 2, greater than, trichotomy and transitive axioms and irrational roots. What I'm going to do is I normally skip the greater than and the trichotomy and transitive axioms in this lesson. So we're going to jump right up to part 86.c when we're dealing with irrational roots, and just kind of go from there. So for example, 86.6 we have, and it's very similar to what we did in the last section. We've got that, and then we've got that. And remember what we did in the last one, because there's exponents up here, we took the bottom one, solved for y, so we don't have that anymore. And then wherever we saw y, we put in x plus 1. So we have x squared plus that. And then we used FOIL right there to square that. And we got x squared plus x, I'll put it in parentheses, okay, simplified it. We had 2x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Now you can either leave it like that to go to the next part, or you can factor out a 2 and just make this x squared plus x minus 4 equals 0. Going from this part here to this part is kind of like taking the fraction 2/4 and reducing it to 1/2. We just factored out a 2. Factor out a 2 out of 2/4 and you get 1/2. Factor out a 2 because it's common to all of these and you get this. Either way, and you're going to get the right answer regardless of whether you remember to do that or not. And then again, we're looking for x. And when you look at this, you'll notice that you can't factor that down. I mean, you can put an x here and an x here, but what number times itself gives, or what numbers multiplied give us -4 and added give us a 1 here? There aren't any. 2 or 1 and 4. You know, you put the 1 and 4 together, you get a 5 or a 3, and 2 and 2, you get a 0 or a 4. So you can't do that. So your only other option is the quadratic formula. So if we use the quadratic formula here, we end up getting -1 plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2. And when you do this, you get x equals -1 plus or minus square root of 1 plus 16 all over 2. Or let's just make this a 17. And then to get it in the right format, we split this 2 among this and among here. So x is -1/2 plus or minus square root of 17 over 2. So see how I took that 2 and split it up there. And that ends up being my x value. Okay, but that's not what I'm looking for, is it? I'm looking for an x and a y. So let's move all of this junk out of the way here. And I am going to write this as x equals -1/2 plus the square root of 17 over 2, and -1/2 minus the square root of 17 over 2. So all I did was split those 2 up. So those are my x values. Now I have to find my y values. So now I have to go back into one of my original equations that's way up there at the top. I don't know if I can even get it back. Everything kind of climbs on top of each other there. But if you look at the original problem, one of the equations was, and I'll put it in black up here at the top, y equals x plus 1. So I'm going to replace x with that over here. Plus 1. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so the only difference again is this is a plus and this is a minus because of the plus or minus here. Alright, so over here I'm getting y equals, I can add that and get 1/2. And over here I'm going to take that and add it to that, and I'm going to get 1/2 minus the square root of 17 over 2. Okay, so here's my answer. On the left hand side, my x value was negative 1/2 plus the square root of 17 over 2. Right here. Whoops, right here. That was my x value. My y value from right here so that's one of my answers. That's one of the places where my two equations will intersect. Weird number. That's my x, negative 1/2 plus the square root of 17 over 2, which is square root of 17 is going to be around 4-ish. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 plus negative 1/2 is 1.5. So my x value is going to be a number around 1.5. And over here, do the same thing, square root of 17. But since I don't know what square root of 17 is, I just leave it looking kind of messy there. Alright, in blue, let's put our x value and our y value here. Negative 1/2, which is, this is our x value. And my y value and I get that. So I got two answers, which is what I wanted. My lines are going to cross, my figures are going to cross at two places, at this place and at this place. And that's it for lesson number 66. Now when you're doing lesson 66, if you look at the practice, there is one of those problems that we skip, so obviously A, you're going to skip that. And if you continue down, you're going to look at 7, 8, and 9. You're going to skip those two. So wherever you see those kind of problems with a greater than or equal to sign with a line through it, you're just going to skip those from now on. I don't even want you to mess with doing those. So that's it for lesson 86.